Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to the Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Tuesday, September 29th. The month is coming to a close, and it is the night of our first presidential debate, so that could be interesting. Definitely something worth keeping an eye on this evening. I'm going to just sit here and say right now, be flat for it. Who knows what can come out? Who knows what can change? Who knows what can be said? So let's all just be flat for it and be cautious there. Interesting day here. Daryl, you nailed it on the head there. Crude oil finally kind of making some sort of range, while on the flip side, on the far end there, when we look at the yen, a dud, boring. I think the whole entire range was like 33 ticks, but pretty tight day there. And we've been seeing that with the yen, which is kind of interesting right now. The dollar has taken a hit, and you're seeing it in gold. You're seeing it in the euro. And equities just kind of trying to find balance, I think, is really what's going to be the case for the next while. Now I'm going against what JP Morgan's saying. So if you saw Friday, we put out our Three Amigos video. That's where myself, Jack, and Michael sit down. We talk about equity markets, and we kind of give our thoughts on what's going to happen. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Let us know what you think. It's definitely something we're excited about. We really enjoy sitting down for those. So let us know what you guys think. And speaking of Michael, tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, he's going to be hopping on here live, taking all sorts of questions about his trading, things that he focused on in trading, and really anything you can throw at him. So if you ever received that email, you can submit your questions to support@topsteptrader.com. You can add them into the chat while he's streaming live. He's going to do his best to get to those. And he's going to go from 2:30 to 3 p.m. And then at 3 p.m., just like we have for the last few weeks, we're going to be doing the Back to Markets webinar where John and I sit down and discuss. Tomorrow will be chart patterns. So tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So a lot's happening here this week. And so please do join us and let us know what you think. But anyhow, news, things going on in the world. Well, really nothing to write home about, in all honesty. It was a quiet day. No major news. I think tonight, like I said, debate's going to be the big thing. So before we get too off track, why don't we just go ahead and take a look at these charts and see what we've got going on here today. Also, I want to just give a shout out and say hello to Tanya, Nick, Daryl, Nick, Tricky Naughty Day. All right. Tanya, best bracket day I've had on NQ, meaning that I did not just get chopped up. Challenging. All right, Tanya, excited to hear that. Felix, good to see you. Subconscious, good afternoon. Vlad, Steve, and Charles. Hi, guys. And again, thank you for joining me. As always, let's go ahead and start with crude oil. Like I said, crude oil makes the big move right off a settlement price here. Remember, settlement price was all the way up here at 40.60. Market never found the buyers in that entire overnight session. As soon as this thing opened up, sellers overpowered. And when I say overpowered, they blew this thing right through 40, continued its push lower all the way down to 38.41. Well, it's tough when we start to kind of break out into these ranges and we start to see new things in areas we haven't seen in a while and ranges we hadn't seen in a while. So it really requires us to look at a little bit of a higher time frame. Where can this thing go, right? And so we start to look back. We can start to go find some points of control from prior sessions. We can start to find some value areas down here we want to look at. So huge move here for a down day. The question is, we started to see buyers come and push this thing up about 65 cents here this afternoon. So this overnight session, I think, is going to be pretty interesting. What does London think when they start going at 1 a.m.? Are they going to really find those buyers? We're going to start to find that support right here at 39, or are we going to work lower and seek out weekly kickoff low down at 37.50? So we have a couple options. Again, we're right at that BFRN, big fat round number, 39 even. And I think this is where we're going to start to find some opportunity once again in this overnight. So keep an eye on it if you trade in the overnight session. Otherwise, maybe this overnight session will give us some levels and areas to keep an eye on once this market opens up tomorrow morning. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. Yeah, we saw a quick move off the open. Remember, settlement price was all the way up here at 33.46, value area high. Settlement price there. This market opened up and it really, really tried to get up there, and it just could not find any acceptance up above. Market broke down, came and checked that overnight low, pushed right through it, and we started to seek some prior levels, some prior swing highs that have come into play. We're looking back middle of last week. We saw one and earlier in the last week. Again, this is where this market kind of seeked, but really tight range. Again, totally expected, right? This is stuff that we kind of have to expect going into a night like tonight. We're a month and a few days away from U.S. elections here, so it's going to be, I think we're going to see pretty tight things. We're going to see this market really not make a whole lot of directional choices. We want to just be cautious of that. Don't marry your positions right away. Same thing for the NASDAQ. Same points here, right? And so NASDAQ settled 11,394 yesterday. And then throughout today, really, really tight range. We fell into yesterday's value area. And we used that value area high kind of as a high here. And we just continued to bounce right off of point of control from yesterday. Super tight range. Had to keep our stops tight here. Kind of tough, especially with some of these wicks that we've seen push right through. We wait for that market to come back up, give us our chance, and maybe that's the trade we can take. Again, really start to define those ranges. Trade those ranges until that market tells you it's making some sort of directional move. All right, gold. We mentioned the dollar's taking a hit. Gold pushing higher. Settlement price was $18.80 to $30, and this market really just kept going. Gave a lot of opportunity to get in on the trend, and trend was kind of determined last night. This market started to go, and at about midnight last night, the buyers came in, really started to see some volume come in on these up nodes, and gave a lot of points for entry. If we waited until we got through the market to open up here, first thing we're looking at, is it going to get above swing high, overnight highs, some consolidation from the overnight? It sure did. Came back, gave us our chance to get in down here and really see this thing push up towards that 1900. Beyond 1900, that's when we can start to say, hey, let's lock in our profits here. 1900 is a good area to keep an eye on. Again, it always goes back to that big fat round number. They stand out. Everyone's keeping an eye on them. You're going to start to see some stops getting picked up here. So 1900, once you get above there, great opportunity to go ahead and get out of that trade. All right, next, let's look at the euro, which really got off to the races here this morning. Sellers tried, right? Sellers really did try and get involved, but the buyers were too strong. The dollar slipping was too strong. Gave great opportunity to take that first move. If you missed it, yeah, we had a chance, but this is where things get hairy, right? And I'm going to be completely honest. This break right here at about 10:30 Central Time this morning, that starts to make me question things. Is this going to be a reversal? We're hitting a wall up here at like 117.56. We're starting to hit that wall. Is this thing going to start to turn around? That would be one of my thoughts. Market kind of hit some resistance up above. We broke. And once you see this pullback, I'm sure a lot of traders wanted to get in on the short side here and say, look, this thing's breaking down. But what do we say all the time? If the market has chosen a direction, our job is to look for the weakness. If it's trending higher, it's looking for the weakness. If we're trending lower, we're looking for that strength. It gave us a huge weakness chance here. Pushed down, came towards a little bit of consolidation from right off the open, and it never held. So we can go ahead and get in, get long, and try and see it come right back up to this 117.55, which is right where this market continues to kind of resolve back towards. And then lastly, we can take a look at the yen. Like I said, yen was, again, just a really, really tight day. There's not much I can sit here and say. We continue to find a little bit of a bottom down here by this 94.70, which is right where point of control is. This market continues to really find any life to the upside. And again, over the last few weeks, week and a half or so, we've really seen extremely tight regular trading hour sessions when it comes to this market. So today, if you were trading this, really tight stops, and I hope you're able to find some profits in there. All right, so those are our markets here today, everybody. Again, don't forget, tomorrow, 2:30 Central Time, here on YouTube. Michael, our founder, Michael Patak, will be going live, taking all sorts of questions. Again, you can email those questions in to support@topsteptrader.com. And you can also try and ask him questions while he's live. Like I said, we're only going to be going live for a half hour, so we're going to get to as many questions as possible, taking priority over the questions emailed in. But he's going to do his best to make sure he can get to some questions in the comment section. So again, just email your questions in, support@topsteptrader.com. Check it out and let us know. And then right after that, we're going to roll right into our webinar, which is tomorrow for Back to Markets. We're going to be talking about chart patterns. John's really excited about this one. I'm looking forward to this one. So I'm looking forward to it. We got a fun and exciting week. And before you know it, the weekend's going to be here. So that's what I got for us on that front. Again, no major news at all. Couple things to keep an eye on. We keep talking VIX. We keep talking Tesla. So we're going to keep that train rolling. Tesla today up a little bit. Well above 400 again, up at 421. Again, you think about it, still massive numbers. That took a 5-for-1 split. So you think about it, 421 times 5. We're still valuing that thing. If we go back to where we were a month ago, we're over $2,000 a share. Pretty crazy. VIX kind of spiked a little bit here this morning, has slipped off a little bit. We're still floating in the mid-20s, 26.3 right now. So we got the VIX. VIX is going to be interesting. I recommend keeping an eye on that all throughout the month of October. We are coming to the end of September here. We're starting a whole new quarter, so things to be thinking about. New quarter, everyone's going to be readjusting. Final quarter of the year, people are going to be either preserving, it's just like a Friday when it comes to trading, people are going to be preserving capital or looking to round out their year on an up note. So lots that can happen. Volatility will be there. This is going to be one of the biggest planned volatility events in the history of volatility. Normally when volatility comes in, it kind of comes in as a little bit of a shock. This is well planned out in advance. We know it's going to be there. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it can be a really fun month so long as we manage that risk and we pay attention to that, right? If we come into this without much risk management, without that being our focus, we can get really hurt throughout this month. But if we come into it managing our risk, knowing what's to come, that, hey, if I can't get it today, that's totally okay. There's always tomorrow. That's going to be important. So just a couple things to note. And then lastly, this date in history, not a whole lot, but one that's pretty interesting on this day in 2008. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember 2008 if you were trading back then. I sure do. The Dow, up to that point, had its biggest down day ever at 777 points. Pretty crazy to think we've had multiple 1,000-point down days this year and up days. So, Tanya, what are we going to do when volatility calms down? Tanya, great question. And I'm going to tell you, check out the podcast that comes out this Thursday. I interviewed a gentleman. That was a topic that came up. We talked about it. When volatility does come down, we have to be, I personally think, more prepared for that than we do when it's trading high volatility times. We get used to, this year, we've gotten really used to high volatile markets, a lot of opportunity presenting themselves. When things start to die down, maybe after the elections, maybe even after January next year, we'll see things kind of stabilize and get a little bit more quiet. We have to be prepared for tightening our risk, keeping our profits within a little bit more reason, manage those expectations. Those are just a couple of things we got to keep an eye on. Awesome, guys. At this point, I'm going to sign on out of here. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade well. I look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care.